When Nazi Germany collapsed in 1945, the world turned its focus to punishing the perpetrators of one of history's darkest regimes. But few stopped to consider what would happen to the children of those perpetrators, the sons and daughters of SS leaders, high-ranking Nazis, and Hitler's closest allies. For these children, the fall of the Third Reich marked the beginning of a life steeped in shame, suffering, and stigma. Stripped of privilege and cast into a world that loathed their surnames, many were interrogated, imprisoned, or institutionalized. Others were left to carry the unbearable weight of their parents' sins. Some chose denial or defiance, becoming neo-Nazis themselves, while others fought to redefine their identities and distance themselves from the horrors of their lineage. This is the haunting story of what happened to the children of Nazi leaders after World War II, an overlooked chapter of trauma, reckoning, and, in some cases, redemption. As Allied forces swept through Germany in 1945, Nazi officials were arrested, and their families became collateral damage. The children of top Nazi leaders were suddenly no longer protected by power or privilege. Many were taken into custody alongside their infamous parents. Gudrun Himmler, daughter of SS Chief Heinrich Himmler, was just a teenager when she was arrested by American forces and held for interrogation. Edda Göring, the young daughter of Hermann Göring, was similarly detained and subjected to denazification processes despite her age. Families lost their wealth, homes, and social standing overnight. The state seized properties, while pensions were denied due to the parents' war crimes. Schools expelled children with Nazi family ties, and neighbors often shunned them. Even those too young to understand the war's politics were punished. Babies born to Nazi leaders or under the Lebensborn program, a eugenics initiative, were often institutionalized, hidden away, or adopted without knowledge of their origins. The new German and Allied authorities were wary of allowing the next generation of Nazis to grow up without scrutiny. Thus began a long journey through legal battles, isolation, and societal rejection for these children, merely because of the names they carried. The psychological toll on the children of Nazi leaders was profound and enduring. As Germany and the world reeled from the atrocities uncovered at concentration camps, these children were vilified, shamed, and in many cases, outright ostracized. Their family names became symbols of horror, making them targets for public scorn, bullying, and isolation. In schools, they were labeled Nazi brats. Teachers often singled them out, and classmates avoided or harassed them. In more severe cases, children were institutionalized under the pretense of re-education. The stigma followed them for life, influencing their ability to build friendship, trust others, or form healthy identities. Many struggled with guilt, even if they were too young to have known what their parents were doing. Some internalized the shame, suffering from depression, anxiety, or identity crises. Others reacted in defiance, either becoming apologists for their parents or rebelling violently against their legacy. Children of the Lebensborn program suffered additional psychological wounds. Born from Nazi eugenics ideals, many were forcibly taken from their birth families and raised in state homes. After the war, these children discovered their roots in shameful, disturbing ways, adding betrayal and confusion to an already fractured sense of self. While some children of Nazi leaders faded into obscurity, others became infamous, either for clinging to their family legacies or rejecting them outright. Their paths reveal how the burden of a name can shape identity for life. Daughter of SS Chief Heinrich Himmler, Gudrun was arrested by Allied forces as a teenager and interrogated during the Nuremberg trials. She later married a former SS officer and spent her life supporting neo-Nazi causes, earning the nickname Nazi Princess, and never disavowing her father's ideology. Edda Göring, only 8 when the war ended, was the only daughter of Hermann Göring, Hitler's designated successor. Unlike Gudrun, Edda lived more privately. After being detained with her mother, she eventually earned a law degree and spent years attempting to reclaim artworks and property seized by the Allies, including those looted by her father. Though she never made overt political statements, Edda remained loyal to her father's memory and defended his reputation in interviews until her death in 2018. Son of Hitler's chief architect Albert Speer, Albert Jr. took a different path. Rejecting his father's legacy, he became a successful architect and distanced himself from Nazi ideology. However, he admitted to struggling with his father's complicity in the regime and sought to understand the personal responsibility of those who enabled Hitler. His life reflected the ongoing struggle between legacy and personal identity. Many children of mid-level Nazis lived in anonymity, hiding their surnames or moving abroad. Some, like children of Rudolf Höss, Auschwitz commandant, remembered idyllic childhoods near the camps, only later realizing the horror next door. The dissonance between family memories and historical reality haunted them for decades. Not all children of Nazi officials faced rejection. Some became unintentional beneficiaries of geopolitical necessity. Through Operation Paperclip, the U.S. secretly brought over hundreds of former Nazi scientists, engineers, and technicians to aid in Cold War military and space efforts. One of the most notable figures was Wernher von Braun, the rocket scientist who had designed the V-2 missile for the Nazis. Von Braun and his family were relocated to America and given new identities and opportunities. His children grew up in suburban comfort, attending American schools and even appearing in public as symbols of post-war rehabilitation. Unlike the children of SS or Gestapo leaders, these offspring were sheltered by their parents' strategic value to the U.S. government. The contrast was stark. While some children lived with shame and surveillance, others were protected, even celebrated, despite their father's roles in a criminal regime. For many, justice became a matter of politics, not principle. The long-term effects of being born in Nazi lineage varied widely, but almost all carried a heavy emotional toll. Some children spent their lives wrestling with inherited guilt, trying to separate who they were from what their parents had done. Others embraced denial or conspiracy, becoming apologists or, in extreme cases, supporters of neo-Nazi ideologies. Gudrun Himmler is one of the most famous examples of someone who never distanced herself from the Nazi worldview. In contrast, Albert Speer Jr. and Rolf Mengele represent those who tried to confront and reject their family's past, though not without inner conflict. Many chose silence, changing their names, moving abroad, and raising families without ever revealing their backgrounds. Some never told their children who their grandparents were. A few published memoirs or gave interviews late in life, offering rare glimpses into the complex emotions of shame, confusion, and anger. Interestingly, descendants of anti-Nazi figures like Klaus von Stauffenberg, the officer who tried to assassinate Hitler, faced a different challenge. While publicly honored, they too dealt with trauma and displacement, especially if their families suffered under Nazi retaliation. For all these individuals, the legacy of Nazi Germany wasn't just historical. It was personal, lifelong, and in many ways, inescapable. Among the most tragic stories are those of the Lebensborn children, products of the Nazi eugenics program aimed at creating a racially pure Aryan population. These children were often born out of carefully selected unions between SS officers and women deemed genetically desirable. Some were even kidnapped from occupied territories and forcibly Germanized. After the war, Lebensborn became a source of deep shame. Many children discovered the truth of their origins only in adulthood. Some learned they had been stolen from their real families in Poland, Norway, or Czechoslovakia. Others were abandoned by their parents and raised in institutions that later collapsed under the weight of scandal. These children faced hostility from all sides. Local communities saw them as remnants of Nazism. Governments often refused to acknowledge or help them. As adults, many suffered from depression, identity crises, and feelings of betrayal. Some spent their entire lives searching for their biological roots, battling legal barriers and bureaucratic silence. In recent decades, a few have come forward to tell their stories, shining a light on this often overlooked chapter of Nazi horror. Their testimonies underscore that the legacy of the Third Reich extended far beyond the battlefield, scarring even those who were too young to choose their fate. The end of World War II didn't end the suffering. It simply shifted it to a new generation. For the children of Nazi leaders, life became a complex maze of shame, guilt, defiance, and reinvention. Some clung to the past, others ran from it, and a few tried to make sense of it publicly. Whether born in privilege or bred through ideology, these children were marked by history in ways they never chose. Their stories serve as chilling reminders that the horrors of a regime don't always die with its leaders. They echo through bloodlines, names, and broken lives for generations to come.